Live across America. Make sure that my shit's right here. Yeah, everything's good. Everything's rocking and rolling here. Let me go ahead and share and see what's going on. You know, I think that was Antifa that tried to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer anyway.
Right. It was a false flag, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. Certainly wasn't anybody involved with the Proud Boys. I almost said the whole.
And by the way, it was Joe Biden who hacked Trump's Twitter account 4 months ago and said "Liberate Michigan," so that guys like this would take it seriously and then do it, and then he could blame right-wing extremists. Right? Is that
right.
how it works?
That's how it works.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sharing. I don't know if you see it.
All right. We'll get to the late news because I know you want to talk about the debate, and I have the clip from. And again, the great thing about Fox is you can tune in for 30 seconds,
and you get it,
and get great sound. And this is that dolt Hogan Gidley. Okay.
Oh God.
Really,
right. you are taking one for the team on that one.
Well, did you see the Brad Parscale thing?
I did.
Oh my God, it's a full plot against him, right, to make him look bad.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like 20. He doesn't exist anymore in nature.
I can't believe the wife is still supporting him, right? She's still saying no, he didn't do anything and all this other shit, right? He just freaked out, but he didn't lay his hands on her at all.
Well, you wouldn't have the following the one of the 23 plots of these if it wasn't that at the end, right? Where the woman stands by her man after he beats the shit out of her. And all right, ready?
I am.
Yeah, look back here. There we are. You won't see my Oldies 93 shirt. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
I got my Worldwide Pants letter jacket today. I was going to show it to you, but I'm not wearing pants right now, so I'm not going to get it.
It's new?
It's not. It's new to me. I got it off eBay.
Oh, okay. So it's not new production. I mean, it wasn't.
No, it was from back in the. He would give those things out like his Christmas presents to the crew and stuff like that, and so they end up on eBay every now and again, and that's the one I got.
Okay. All right. It is the Brad and Britt cast live here in the 1:30 hour here on Thursday afternoon. If you're catching us on the podcast later on, that's all right, but you can see us live on YouTube or Facebook or whatever else we're on. I think we're on the RFD channel, aren't we? On that one,
right after the Jimmy Dean show. Don't forget to watch us.
Are those the creepiest commercials where they use Jimmy Dean as if he's still alive?
Yeah, they just can't get rid of it. Well,
my God, who came up with that? Because there's a lot of people that don't know he's dead or that he's been dead for 30 years.
Yeah. So it's either they can't let him die and they can't let the Colonel from KFC. For some reason, are they reiterations of the Colonel, somebody playing the Colonel, somebody doing the Colonel's voice. They can't let these people die. They cannot think of a more effective spokesman than a dead person for these particular brands.
I don't think it's the same thing. It's apples and oranges because nobody on the KFC commercials is trying to fool you into thinking. I mean, they're making fun of him. They're making fun of the character half the time.
Right.
With the Jimmy Dean sausage campaign, they're running the audio of him that he recorded, in a studio in 1974.
Right.
And they're just using it over and over again.
That was one of the excuses that Papa John gave when John Schnatter lost his shit and got tossed from the board of Papa John's was, hey, the Colonel Sanders used the N-word. Colonel Sanders was born in 1894 or something. That was seriously John Schnatter's excuse.
And you'll notice that they completely walked away from his image. And
my God!
So, and by the way, they're doing very well now.
They're doing
very, very well. Yeah,
with Shaq on board, they're doing good.
All right, so we have an opening little sound bite here. Here we go. This is from earlier today, and I don't know if you've ever seen this guy on TV. He's the guy who is at least smart enough to never take the job as Trump's press secretary. He always stayed the number 2 person, and all these people would cycle through, like Sean Spicer and Sarah Sanders and Kayleigh right now, and he stays at number 2. Some people, they know their level of incompetence, they understand the Peter principle, and they know that they're just better off staying, as the vice president or the assistant. And this guy's name is Hogan Gidley. He is the Barney Fife of the administration. That's what he reminds me of. And now he has, and this happens with Trump a lot, where you're in the White House and then suddenly you're in the campaign. You're working for the campaign. You're not in the White House anymore. So he's not the White House deputy press secretary anymore. He's the press secretary for the Trump campaign, if you can understand that there is actually a difference, which there isn't. So here he is earlier today talking about the outrage that was perpetrated by the debate commission in saying the debate next week needs to be virtual, not the guys in the same room, because Donald Trump fucked up the coronavirus policy for all these months and got it himself, and now is dangerous. So they want to change it. You understand that. Here's Hogan Gidley.
Being out on the road in a conventional sense, as we're used to seeing candidates do. The debate commission said, no, we're not doing that because COVID doesn't change anything. We have these rules set since 1980. We're the establishment. We don't shift. We don't change. Now, all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, the president of the United States completely destroys Joe Biden in a debate. Mike Pence, the vice president, crushes Kamala Harris. And just like clock.
You want to just stop it there? There's no reason to listen to it. I don't want to kill anybody else's day anymore.
Baghdad Hogan?
Right. So you have to live in that world. You have to watch that channel, and you have to be such a true believer to, at this point, listen to a guy say that Trump crushed Biden and Pence crushed Kamala Harris. And then you go from there. And this is all they have left. This is Hitler in the bunker. This is it. And the only thing left for Donald Trump to do is, pull out the 45 and just end it all. It is.
Which would gain him a lot of support among Second Amendment lovers.
Yes. He protected your Second Amendment all the way.
Our beautiful Second Amendment. It's going to be the end of me.
Right. Right. All right. So early this morning, when the news broke that they want to have the next debate virtual, a Zoom call like we're kind of doing right now, and like 99% of all businesses have had to do for the last 6 months. In other words, we all are running afraid of the coronavirus, and we shouldn't, because the president says don't let it control your life, because it does. Trump chickens out. He chickens out. He runs for the hills, and he blames it on the debate commission, which is doing obviously the responsible thing at this moment. And he makes it seem as if not only is it not his fault that he wouldn't show up, but it's Joe Biden's fault, because clearly the debate commission is made up of Democrats and never Trumpers. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. And they finally got a chance to try to stick it to Donald Trump, and this is how they're doing it, by changing the rules. It's been this way since 1980. And Donald Trump, if he doesn't know, this may be as stupid or more stupid, and you didn't think it was possible after the getting in the car at the hospital on Sunday. You didn't think you could top that, right?
The Proud Boys drive-by?
The Proud Boys drive-by. And then the idiotic helicopter ride back to the White House and the huff 'em puff 'em walk up the stairs Mussolini salute moment for the photo op for the next series of commercials. But this is actually dumber than that, because Donald Trump is all about humiliation. It's all about not appearing weak. What could appear weaker? What could appear weaker than a guy refusing to do a Zoom call, a virtual debate. He's on fucking Fox News 50 times a month on a Zoom call, on a phone call. So he can't do it. This is bullshit. This is running for the hills. It almost sounds like he wants to lose, because this is going to, if he thinks that on that night he can just do a rally somewhere else and he's going to get the kind of attention that he craves, he's wrong. First of all, only Fox News will run his rally live on that night.
Well, C-SPAN 3.
Well, C-SPAN 3. That's my
probably
point.
have it on there.
That's my point. He'll get no coverage, and it'll just be the usual shtick at the rally and complain about all the things that he does, and he's going to get nothing out of it. You know what it reminds me of? 2016. There was a debate that Trump skipped out on, if you recall. And
it was Iowa, wasn't it?
I think so. And he said,
it was Iowa.
I'm going to go do a rally and raise money for the veterans. And that was the phony charity thing where the money never ended up in the hands of the veterans organization it was supposed to. And they lied about the amount of money raised. And Donald Trump is, if he's anything, he's a creature of habit. And he thinks that because he won the election, that everything he did back then was so brilliant that he can duplicate it now. I say this is capitulation. It's weakness. It's personal humiliation. And we will be able to say, I think a month from now, there was never any coming back from this moment. This was the end point as far as I'm concerned.
Feels like it. I mean, it feels very much like it. And it was Iowa. There's a story. This is from February the 3rd of 2016. Trump says skipping Iowa debate may have cost him Iowa. He was saying that to his supporters in New Hampshire. That's when he did the veterans thing. What? And then that's when he raised the money that he really didn't raise. And eventually they called him on and he ended up writing some sort of check to the veterans organization.
But since he did end up winning Iowa, then he can say, well, it was the great idea. It was a brilliant move.
I think it says here that he lost Iowa. That's what he was saying, that it cost him.
No. He said it would cost him.
It would cost him. Okay.
It would cost him, and he didn't win the Iowa caucus, obviously, but he won the state in the election over.
Exactly in the election in 2016, of course. So of course there was a great strategy. So skipping the debate was the greatest thing ever because it let him win Iowa.
Yeah, don't question it. Do not question the man.
The amount of sociopathy involved with that backflip 360 is just incredible. But you're right. That sounds very Trumpian to me. Yeah. That somehow it led to him winning the election and beating crooked Hillary. Yeah.
Now I don't look at his Twitter feed as closely as you do.
I just took a glance at it.
Did he congratulate Pence for the greatest performance ever in the history of debates?
There was a tweet last night, all caps, Pence won big or something like that.
Okay.
Pence, so
which he obviously didn't. But
I mean the CNN flash poll, for whatever that's worth, that had, I think, Joe Biden beating Donald Trump by 30 or 40 percentage points last week, had Kamala Harris much closer this time. I think she only beat Pence by about 21. So I'll take it as half and only being 10%. She still destroyed. I thought there was only one part of that entire debate where she struggled, and that was with the court packing. They continue to go ahead and go with the court packing narrative against them. And the Biden and Harris just don't have a good answer for this right now. And they probably should come up with one.
Well, first of all, she gave the wrong answer.
Right.
She went in the wrong direction, even though she was right. Her answer to Mike Pence, thinking this was the killer, that, again, just think about it. People across this country lost their jobs, can't pay the rent. Kids are home. They're having to teach them virtually. Everyone's tearing their hair out. They are not worried about whether Joe Biden and the Democrats, if they got full control of the the two branches of government, the Congress and the presidency, would add 2 more Supreme Court justices. They are not worried about that. You have to be very wonky. And you also, even if you are a bit wonky, you have to believe that Jesus himself said 9 justices only. That's right. The magic number. Can't do anymore. And when the Republicans accuse Democrats of plotting the worst thing in the history of the world, adding 2 more justices as packing, Kamala Harris's answer during the debate was that Trump has packed the federal court system with 50 at least new federal judges, none of whom are black. She should have said Donald Trump has already packed the Supreme Court with 2 extra justices that he had no business appointing. Two of them, Neil Gorsuch and the
Brett
upcoming
Kavanaugh.
vote. No, well, Kavanaugh, of course, that was a cheap maneuver, and
Yep.
you could easily say 3 because they strong-armed Anthony Kennedy into retiring so that they would replace him. But that's been done before, and it was talked about, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have retired, and Obama should have appointed her successor, 7 years ago. But that's water under the bridge. So it's at least 2, maybe 3. So it's the Republicans who have packed the court. Packing the court isn't just a numerical quotient. It's how you do it. It's how you play by the rules. It's how you play fair. It's how you do what's in the best interests of the United States. It's how you care about the citizenry and having some sense of balance on the court. And you don't try to do a power play like all minority autocratic governments do around the world, whether it's in Poland or in Hungary or in the Philippines or Egypt or other places. And that's what they're doing right now. And that's what packing the courts is. It's not the possibility of adding 2 more justices if Trump and his gang and Mitch McConnell jam through this nomination before the election. So she gave I think the wrong answer in the moment. It wasn't a wrong answer. It wasn't a terrible answer, but it wasn't the rightest one that could have been. What do you think?
Well, I think that was the only moment that she, and I don't want to let that overshadow the fact that she crushed him on everything else, including healthcare and jobs and Donald Trump's awful record and everything else that's happened. And the coronavirus, all of these things, she killed him on. I thought that was the one time. The rest of it, I thought she was much better. They've made, in their coaching and prep for these debates, they've made a decision that you need to address the American people. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both were fantastic at turning and addressing the American people. She did not take the bait many times from him. He was trying to go ahead and say a number of things that were just ridiculous bullshit catchphrases that she just did not take the bait on. And she's much better in terms of presenting herself to America than Mike Pence is. Sorry, that's just the way it is.
The other issue that they need to get more literate on is, and I hate to put anybody in the position where because they lie every time, you have to have a better answer, but it's true. And Pence lied continually and actually circled back to the topic even when he was asked a question about what color is the sky. Well, the Democrats will raise your taxes, everybody's taxes. It doesn't matter. So he went back to that, and everybody's taxes are going to go up under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And of course, that's not true. And Joe Biden's plan, we've said it 100 times, is to adjust the rates on people over $400,000, repeal the tax breaks that were given to people over $400,000, not on everybody below that. And you have to make that clear, and you cannot let them get away with that lie. You cannot do it, because we'll be sitting here with our thumbs up our ass in the middle of November saying, yeah, it was the economy, stupid, and Democrats were going to raise their taxes, and people voted against that because they don't like people who raise their taxes. You better damn well be more forceful on that issue, because all they've got left is the lie. That's all they've got left on issue after issue. For Mike Pence to, with a straight face, with that stern bullshit, shit-eating, I think I'm Ronald Reagan, but I never will be, look into the camera saying that we just follow the science, whether it's on coronavirus or on climate change. We're the ones. I mean, this isn't Orwell. This is Orwell back to the top of the circle, back around. We're like to 720 degrees of bullshit.
What does what does the science say about conversion therapy, about praying the gay away? Is science in favor of that? Because I'm not really sure. I've tried to look into it. I mean, she doesn't have to go there, but geez,
no, she doesn't have to
but
go
then
there.
she said, when it comes to the wildfires, Donald Trump said science didn't know. And then she gave like a fantastic, frustrated, her facials are tremendous. Not only because she's an attractive woman, but that captures what most of middle America is thinking, if you want to go ahead and use that bullshit, tired, trite phrase. But that's when people go, she captures so much frustration that men and women across America have with the bullshit answers that come from this administration about the economy or the coronavirus or climate change or anything. So that's why I think she's so incredibly relatable, and she's such a great weapon for this campaign. Plus, guess what? If Joe Biden dies, she's ready to do the job. I think that, again, that's the underlying, that's the whole idea behind this. And you could just see it last night. I don't even think Mike Pence, I don't think his heart is into defending the bullshit that's happened over the past 3.5 years. I think he did it in a way that he's like 75 or 80% there, but he's coasting. He's on fumes. He doesn't believe in this mission anymore. He wants to tap out as much as anybody. You could just see that his heart is not in this shit.
Well, but think of it this way. He wants to be president.
Sure.
All right. And, he wants to be president after Trump leaves office, whenever that is. And if he leaves office in 4 weeks or 12 weeks, whenever he would be leaving, and we actually do get him out, and we can talk about how they're going to refuse to leave office and the rest of that, and how Mike Pence was such a putz that he did exactly what Trump did last week and did not commit to a peaceful transfer of power. That's a side issue, but Pence wants to be the next Republican nominee for president, right, which would be 2024, regardless of Trump getting reelected or not. So at some level, he has to divorce himself from Trumpism. But how do you do that when you're sitting there last night?
You're handcuffed.
And you are forced to defend. And as we've tiredly said, you're speaking to an audience of one. You're craving that pat on the head tweet afterwards saying you did the greatest job since Lincoln and Douglas put together. That you weren't as good as me, but you were great. That's what he's going for. And by definition, that means you're going to tell the same kind of lies that Donald Trump is telling about issue after issue after issue. You're going to lie and you're going to say that we stopped all travel from China and everyone in the world was against it, including Joe Biden, and said we were xenophobes.
Right.
And not one of those things is true. Not one of those things I just said is true about that issue. But what do? They repeat it over and over and over again. And if you talk to your Trump friends, and you have way more than I do, I guarantee you they probably have brought that up. That Trump doesn't get credit for having stopped all that travel from China. Imagine what would have happened. And they have that number. For some reason, they're stuck with that number. It would be 2 million dead if it wasn't for the greatness.
Not 2.5, not 2.7.
Always 2 million.
Just 2 million.
It's always 2 million.
Which is 10 times worse than what we have. So I guess that's what that works.
Right. Now it used to be 40 times worse when we had 50,000 people.
Right.
Dead.
Exactly.
Now it's only 10 times worse. Pretty soon it will be there if we don't get things moving in the right direction. And unfortunately for President Donald Jumongus Trump, what's his middle name? Jumongus?
John. It's John. Jumanji.
Whatever. The number one hotspot in America after the White House is Wisconsin right now.
Oh yeah.
It's not even close. And now I believe I have read on the right-wing sites that this is the result of all the protests.
Exactly. Kenosha.
This is what Kenosha 2 months ago has resulted in a surge the last few weeks overrunning the hospitals. Okay.
Because as you know, Kenosha is by far the largest city in Wisconsin. I mean, that's by far.
That's why they have Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NHL.
That's all right there because it's so stupid. The shit that these people have to tell themselves to go along with his bullshit narratives is just amazing.
So if you live in Wisconsin right now and you're seeing all coronavirus coverage all the time, and it's more real to you than it might be anywhere else in the country right now in terms of the medicine of it. And you watch Mike Pence, and you know the truth about what's going on, and you've seen Donald Trump announce that coronavirus was a blessing from God. And I wish that Kamala Harris had not been so restrained, because, comparing this Kamala Harris to the primary debate Kamala Harris, they were two different people. But that shows discipline. That shows it was a different show last night than it was when you're on stage with 10 other people and trying to differentiate yourself. But I wish she would have said, why don't you ask the 7 million people and the millions and millions and millions of people by definition who are connected either through family or through work or through the YMCA that they belong to or through their church, who are connected to those 7 million people, whether getting coronavirus is really a blessing from God, because it was for your president, Mike Pence. Could you explain that to us? Because you are, after all, a man of God. You are the number one evangelical Christian in the country as an office holder. So why don't you explain what Donald Trump meant when he said it was a blessing from God? I think that would have been a killer response, don't you?
Yeah.
Maybe it would have. Maybe we'd be. Oh, that was over the line. That was anti-Christian. That was a religion. But I don't think so.
I think that there was also some discussion or something. I don't want to say of softening her up, because I don't think she's that harsh, but I think it's like, we don't need the woman that made Brett Kavanaugh cry tonight. We want to stay away from that sort of thing. We want you to be a little more relatable. And she was, and she pressed the gas when she needed to, and she hit the brakes when she needed to. I think that was somewhat of a consideration. And some of these slam dunks she didn't go down on. She did exactly what she needed to do. And I hate to say that the Biden-Harris campaign is kind of into prevent defense mode, because you remember the cliche when it came to prevent defense.
I know.
It prevented you from. It would prevent you from winning. That's what they always said. But that's what they're doing right now. They're in the Dean Smith four corners, run out the clock. Let's not make any mistakes. And that's where they are right now. They don't need to take big swings right now.
Well, I think they're aware of that.
Yeah.
And I think if you read your email and you see what the campaigns are doing, there is no let up. There is no, hey, this is the greatest thing ever. Look at this poll that just came out. Everybody relax and just wait for the votes to come flowing in, which in effect is what happened 4 years ago. That is not happening. And everybody realizes that if they're thinking, and again, that's a big push there, that it isn't just about the presidency. It's getting everybody out there to vote for those down ballot races, which is everything else but the presidency, because they are just as important in getting control of our government and, quote unquote, taking back our country. Kill me for saying that. And may I do a Kamala Harris impression from last night, and why she was so effective? And for those of us watching, here's what she did when Pence started bullshit. Yeah. Ready? She went, and you know what? That was enough. That was the visual equivalent. I rolled my eyes and turned my head and shook it. I shook my head. She did that 50 times. And that was the equivalent. That was the nonverbal equivalent of interrupting. Yeah. It was perfect. Right. It was the perfect example of how you play above the rim, and you don't duplicate what happened last week, as opposed to Mike Pence, who, since he's playing to an audience of one, you must imitate the king. You must mimic him, and you have to act like him. And he did jump in way more than she did. Had to. And he wouldn't shut the fuck up more. He ignored Susan Page, he did. The moderator, over and over again. And by the way, he needed to. Those last 15 seconds he got in every time were just killers. They were gold. It was worth it. Yeah.
What did you think of Susan's performance otherwise as a moderator?
She was fine. But if you have people hell bent on not going by the rules and playing by the rules, it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, you are going to need Samuel L. Jackson from the Capital One commercials just getting up there and beating the shit out of them. I mean,
Right.
Other than that, and I guess if I'm thinking that's why Trump does not want to have a virtual meeting, because as you know, when it's that way, you can't just keep talking, and your mic can be muted, and it would be muted, and you have less control over the whole room when you are just on a two-shot like we are on our a live video cast that we're doing. It's not the same as when you and I were in the room together. We have to be a little bit more careful about not talking over each other,
Exactly.
even though we do it. But when you do it, it's not the same as a complete assault when you're right next to the person. And since Donald Trump is heavily into assault, he doesn't want that weapon taken away from him, apparently. And he just will not realize and acknowledge that most of the country that's about, I think, to vote him out of office realizes the chronological order of all the mistakes that he's made and all the ignoring of the facts and the evidence, and National Security Advisor O'Brien telling him back in January, this is the most important national security threat that you face as president, sir. And he ignored it, and they buried it. And he lied and said, I don't want people to panic. And all these months later, the chickens came home from roost. It's just like your mother would say to you, if you keep doing that, it's going to come get you.
Yeah.
And everybody sees what happened, and you caught the goddamn virus. And this excuse of not giving out the last time he tested negative, is a cover-up. It's an absolute cover-up. It's as bad a cover-up as his tax returns. And for them to allege that, and Trump said this, a rare appearance on a Fox Business with Maria Bartiromo this morning, a rare appearance, a full hour of insanity.
This is where he made the announcement.
Right. Well, this is where he declined to show up at the
October 15th. It's 1 week from today, the next Thursday.
Right. That it's not going to happen.
Right. So now what the Biden campaign now says is, fuck it. We'll do October the 22nd. If you want to make it virtual, if you don't, screw you. You don't make and they said it's tied for like one of the latest debates in the history of, modern presidential elections.
Right. But and I think he said this again this morning, he's trying to say that the super spreader event at the White House that we've all seen the video of 8,000 times, the Amy Coney Barrett introduction outside, and then lots of inside interaction. There's a tons of videotape of them all gathered together at a cocktail party kind of reception, which of course Mike Pence lied about at the debate and said, oh, this was an outdoor event, and the CDC has said outdoor events shouldn't be a problem. You were inside. Not only were you outside, and not only were you not all 6 feet apart, you were all right on top of each other, just like at the worst concert venue you've ever been at. So he lied about that. But to say it was because of Gold Star families could not resist. They could not resist coming up to Donald Trump and hugging him. He got it from veterans. He got it from those goddamn loser and sucker families and veterans on that weekend. Which how sickening can you get? How horrible can you get?
Like the Khan family, those kind of Gold Star veterans that you care so much about, Donald Trump. Is that it? And also, if you would have cared half as much about the children that were at the reception following that were outside of the womb as you could pretend to care about the kids that are inside the womb, Mike Pence, then maybe you wouldn't have possibly exposed them to COVID-19. But again, that's just stuff that she can't say that we can say. And why can we say that, Brad?
Because we're on a podcast.
That's correct.
We're on a podcast. We have a full license to do anything at any time. Now, the news on Thursday afternoon was the FBI and the Attorney General of Michigan holding a press conference to announce charges against 6 white Trump supporters. See what I did there?
I see what you did.
These are militia guys. These are right-wing extremist guys who apparently had plans to break into the Capitol in Lansing, Michigan, kidnap legislators and the governor of Michigan, or as Donald Trump called her, that woman in Michigan several months ago, right before he tweeted out, "Liberate Michigan." And apparently we had some people taking it very, very seriously.
Very, yeah.
And it's early in the development of the story, and we're kind of doing this on the fly, but I pray that when they go through the computers and the cell phones and the apartments and the houses where these guys live, it's got "Make America Great Again" paraphernalia all over it. How could it not be? How could it not be that way?
I think it's going to be, yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. And again, white supremacy and white nationalism, that's the real terrorist threat in this country. I know a lot of people want to think that the Muslims are coming, and there is some Muslim extremism that's a problem, but I think statistics show that since 9/11, you've been multiple times more likely to be murdered by a white nationalist or white supremacist than you have been a Muslim terrorist in this country, unless you're at a naval base somewhere in Florida, which Donald Trump allowed to happen. I can't even imagine, by the way, if there would have been a Muslim extremist that would have gone off and killed people on some sort of naval base, how that would have been hung around Barack Obama's neck for years and years. Benghazi would have seemed like a traffic ticket to these people if that shit would have happened during the Obama administration. But yes, you are much more likely to be a victim of terrorism by white supremacists, white nationalists, than you are by Muslim extremists. I know that goes against the narrative that Donald Trump and his supporters like to peddle, but that's the case. And thank God the FBI was able to foil this plot. I'm sure that he will disavow any knowledge and I'm sure he'll be very quick. The way he's denounced the Proud Boys, Brad, I don't know. There may be a chance this afternoon for him to organize a drive-by to wave to supporters who were trying to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. I'm not sure.
Here we go. The explanation is that they would try to kidnap the governor for treason, and that they would execute the plan before the elections. They met on June 20th in Grand Rapids. These people. They'd also met. Six.
Six of them.
They had an earlier meeting in Dublin, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus. So finally, Michigan and Ohio get together on something.
They're crossing state lines on this thing. That's fantastic.
You see what I said?
I see what you did.
But remember, we've already had that situation a few months ago where armed protesters, these entered the Capitol. Remember that? They were brandishing their weapons and showing their love for their sacred Second Amendment, which if Joe Biden is elected, you're going to lose your Second Amendment. It's going away overnight. Joe Biden, executive order, no more Second Amendment. But I mean, this is serious shit. This is serious shit.
Very much so.
And I'm assuming that by now, and you can check this for me, Britt, ha ha ha. I'm sure that the president has expressed his outrage that the law and order component of his campaign is not being adhered to by these people who would go against the government structure for which he is the head of right now. See, that's the problem. Donald Trump is a terrorist. Yeah. He is a terrorist. He is in sympathy with people who would overthrow the government. He is overthrowing our government.
Yeah.
If not literally, certainly figuratively and on the edges, and it's collapsing towards the middle. One of the first things you do in these other countries, we've seen it, is you try to corrupt the judicial system, and he is doing it right now. The one thing I'm warning myself about, I warn you about it right now, Bill Barr has been very quiet for a few weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's sick, isn't he?
I am very suspicious that there's something in the hopper. This crap that they released on Tuesday or Wednesday, that hack Ratcliffe, who's now the national the DNI guy, who has no business being in that job. No business. He's a complete political hack. This garbage that they released that makes it appear as if John Brennan and the entire national intelligence apparatus was plotting against Donald Trump, and they told Barack Obama about it, and he did nothing about it because he didn't care. Blah blah. It was all bullshit. It's all cherry picked crap, and you'll notice it's going nowhere.
Except on Fox, where it's the biggest story ever.
I understand that, but in other words, it's going nowhere because there is nothing to it. It's not illegal. It's not wrong. You may not like it. And you may believe that Donald Trump had nothing to do with Russians and his campaign had no connection with Russia, and they did not interfere in the election in 2016. And I urge you to get mental help. But Bill Barr has been very, very quiet lately. And, we still have, 3.5 weeks or so to go. So, buckle up your seatbelt because there's a Statue of Liberty play coming up that we can't anticipate. And
It's one of my favorite trick plays. Nobody ever uses it anymore.
Every once in a while, somebody still does, though. It usually works.
About 10 or 12 years ago, there was a Boise State bowl game where they used it at the end. They end up winning the game with it. I love the Statue of Liberty. But yeah, Bill Barr has been silent on that whole situation. Has Donald Trump actually said anything about his sick wife? Because I haven't seen him say anything publicly about his sick wife at all. And even on the Twitter machine, he hasn't said anything. And as far as the Gretchen Whitmer stuff, not only has he talked about how grateful he is that law and order has been carried out to arrest these people in the plot against Gretchen Whitmer, what are the chances, Brad, that between now and Monday, he says this is an abuse of power and it's fake and it's not true and there was no plot, and that the FBI has drummed up his charges?
He didn't say what you first said, right? He hasn't said
no.
Okay.
No, but
not only is he not okay, because you made it sound like he actually did do the right thing.
No, he hasn't done any of that stuff.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But what are the chances by the time that we meet next that he's denounced the FBI and saying it's a fake investigation and it's bullshit and it's not true? I think there's a fair chance that he might in fact do that.
Well, I just don't think that you're allowed to cherry pick, sir.
I don't think so either.
Which FBI you like and dislike at any particular moment. If the FBI breaks up a plot to kidnap the governor of Florida, it's the greatest thing ever. But if it's only a plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan, a blue state that you're losing, that your campaign has pulled its advertising out of, that's essentially a lost cause, then I think you're right. He doesn't give a shit. Michigan may as well be California soon to Donald Trump. And right. California can burn all the way to the ground, and he's not going to give a shit about it. And Michigan very well may be in that category soon, even though, of course, it was Donald Trump who saved the auto. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. That was Joe Biden who was put in charge of that.
They shoved that down. She shoved that down his throat last night, though. He tried to talk about that bullshit about it, and he goes, let's talk about it. Joe Biden helped save the automobile industry in America. And I wish he would have said to the camera, hello, Ohio. Hello, Michigan. I wish she would have said, but again, we can say that because we're on a podcast, but she shoved that right down his throat. And she goes, not only did Joe Biden save it, but you voted against it. So suck that one, Mike Pence.
Yeah, you voted against it. Did you see his face on that? It was just complete stone face. But when she talks about the auto industry in Michigan, you don't even have to say the word Ohio because they are really closely connected.
That's exactly
very,
right.
very closely connected. And, as we like to say here, I-75 runs both ways. I-75. Yeah.
Well, if you had to guess in some way, shape, or form, how is this debate thing going to work out? Because I don't think they're going to be able to debate on October the 15th. I don't think they're going to get together on anything by then.
No, I think that the Trump at this moment would rather be a martyr than anything else. And he's trying to achieve martyrdom, and he achieves martyrdom, at least for that night, by going to a rally where people will show him the love. He would much rather be there. It makes him feel better than being in a situation where he can't play to a crowd on a Zoom call, on a virtual debate situation. And that's all that's left for him to make himself feel good. And by then, the steroid regimen might be cut down so much that he's really going to feel like shit. Right now, he's saying he's felt the best he's felt in 20 years. Holy shit. He sounds like a fucking LSD.
I want to go
person who says he could. Yeah, he's like when you're a kid, when you think you're Superman, you put a sheet on and you jump off the bed. I'm Superman. That's what he feels like. You know what? I have an idea. There's something in between New Jersey and New York. It's called the George Washington Bridge. Did you know that Superman used to jump off the George Washington Bridge, President Trump? You might want to try it.
Here's your
might want
cape.
to try it. Yeah.
And if you believe enough and Mike Pence prays for you hard enough, you will be able to fly, sir.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, here's a Big Mac and here's your Superman cape. Go to the George Washington Bridge. You can have your cape and eat it too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll be here all night. Tip the waiter. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. See you guys.